From all, to all, with all, for all, through all, we thank the gods of creation. We thank the ancestors. We thank the forces of nature. And we thank the earth. We thank them for their direction, their protection, their guidance, for keeping us, showing us, allowing us to know and enjoy life to its fullest, now and later.
Black people who once loved with the slow march of time. Time was ours to hold in the soft, low-born chambers of our hearts. And once we, the Afro mommies and daddies of a sun world, would turn our strands of hair into antennas to tune in the juju madness and syncopated love rhythms of Africa. And we loved with time, and we took the time to love. And with the right time we love, and we love time after time. Will we ever love again? Will we ever love again? Will we really ever love again? Or will we just sit and rot away with the brighter tomorrows in the skag field, rat-cluttered halls of our minds?
Black people, what y'all gonna do? Black people, what y'all gonna do?
Will the real black people please stand up?
Jumbo Habari, and welcome once again to Our Story, the program that makes being black positive, relevant, desirable, and true to a lost nation in America. A program that speaks to the historic significance of the original people of the earth. Our Story Network takes pride in setting itself away from other programs that centers you on entertainment or rhetorical mumbo-jumbo that misdirects your attention onto other things, which causes you to exhaust your resources and renders you brain dead. It is our story that speaks about commitment to you and your people. It is our story that champions the reestablishment of the black genius that once ruled the world. It is our story that reminds you that black people once ruled the world. That is what we call black rule. It is our story that focuses you in on the rewards of black advocacy, black activism, black involvement, and black power. It is our story that encourages survival of the black race and solicits your involvement to that end. Black folk must remember race first is the call of the day, and we as a people must. I say must take the pledge if we, the people of the original race, expect to survive. We at Our Story realize the power as black people we possess has not only gone unnoticed, but has gone unused. Unused simply because the masses of black folk are afraid to claim this power. That is why we dedicate this time to you and your family, to make the awareness of power a reality to you and yours. Before we get into tonight's program, I want to acknowledge the community announcement we have for this week. As we move the calendar ahead to November the 4th and 5th for the third annual Algiers Ancestral Festival, which I attended last year, and if the creek doesn't rise, I will be there this year. Because of the importance of this event, I encourage everyone to attend, learn, and or enjoy getting in touch with your cultural roots. This is probably the most significant festival of the year. I say this because this festival puts you in touch with your roots and your cultural beginnings. I am fully aware that many of you are not interested in your cultural roots. However, times are forcing us to be more mindful of who we are and where we came from. This will be a 2-day event, and I will alert you next week where and how to access the festival. Moving forward to tonight, we have one of those rare opportunities to get into the core reason of what religion is and why religion is not what most of us believe it to be. Tonight we have with us a colleague of mine for whom I have known for many years, a young man who has gone through the trapdoors of life and has remained optimistic about the fairy godmother who will save us all. By no means is this an attempt to ridicule the work or the beliefs of the author of the newly authorized book entitled Leveling the Praying Field. Can the church we love us back? As the author more realistically spotlights the disparities of what is real and what is illusionary in the Catholic Church, it is with great pride and privilege I present the brother, or should I say Dr. Ansel Augustine, a man dedicated to his people and his city. I also must acknowledge a man who takes his beliefs and faith seriously, which is the subject for tonight's conversation. Brother Ansel, I want to thank you for the copy of your new book, Leveling the Playing Field, obviously a play on leveling the playing field, a phrase that means a situation in which everyone has a fair and equal chance of succeeding. So I assume leveling the praying field is a deep dive into religious equality. As you know, I have done some deep diving into the religious fields of both the African and European belief systems. I must tell you, I am not dazzled from what I found, mainly that the European belief systems are copies of what Europeans found from black people. But I must admit, I am fascinated by your book. After reading your book, I must say I am perplexed as to why you still want to be associated with the church. Not just the Catholic Church, but any church. This is what we will ponder tonight. So, as a means of dissecting your book, I will point to chapter and page and give the viewers an opportunity to get a glimpse into a book I recommend to everyone and ask everyone to get a copy to read. So, to start with, let us go to page 17 of the instructions, where you state, racism is referred to as America's original sin. Not taking into account racism was a way of life long before white people inhabited the northern hemisphere. In fact, the Catholic Church was older than Christopher Columbus. Then we'll go to chapter 1, page 3. You render a quote from the National Black Catholic Clergy Caucus in 1968. The quote is, "The Catholic Church in the United States, primarily a white racist institution, has addressed itself primarily to white society and is definitely a part of that society. On the contrary, we feel that her primary, though not exclusive work, should be in the area of institutional, attitudinal, and societal change," close quote. As a non-Catholic, I see the Catholic Church being all of those things the caucus stated the Catholic Church should be: areas of institutional, attitudinal, and societal abilities to govern our own. The history of the Catholic Church is a history of a military invading force that pushes groups and cultures just for existing. How do you respond to that, my brother?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for your acknowledgement and your praise for the book. It is a love letter to the community and the work that the church should be about doing. You commented, you asked the question, why do I remain? And I look at the elders that fought before me so I could have a space and the work I'm called to do for those coming after me, but also to hold the church to an accountability of what it says it should be, to live that out. The Black Catholic Clergy Caucus made that statement to the church itself following the murder of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And these black men and women, mainly black men, but the Sisters Conference, the Black Sisters Conference was there to help them identify that our blackness is just as important as our faith. And so looking at what the church needs to be about is why many of us, especially those of us that work with our young people and young adults that we see leaving the church for whatever reason, and sometimes the church doesn't care, but for us to help them understand that this is our space just as much as anybody else's, and to help them, give them resources to have those conversations. You know, even though many people don't think there's anything wrong with the church, the humanness of the church is broken, you know, as America's original sin of racism. And that's coming from the bishops. The bishops labeled it as such. For us to deal with that in an open, honest, and authentic way.
All righty. Now, in past conversations I've had with you, you've told me that your book has been banned in many places. Tell us about that.
Yeah, there were several dioceses in the Midwest, and I think on the Northwest, Washington, Oregon area up there, and in the Midwest area that banned it. They don't want to have, we look at what's going on in the world, want to talk about the whole notion of critical race theory, but people don't want to talk about the truth, and sometimes in the church, the truth sometimes, the truth will set you free, but do they really want freedom? And so for us, educating our young people on what has happened, what is going on, and that they have the power to make that change, I think is the greatest liberator for us as a people.
Now, taking into account other black Catholics have and had several issues with the history and the scope of the Catholic Church. In 1989, a black priest in the Catholic Church, Reverend George August Stallings Jr., created the African American Catholic Congregation and named the church Imani Temple. Since you and Reverend Stallings seem to have a lot in common, why are you still